What's going on, guys? It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. This one I'm going to be going over 5 running backs that I think are super safe to draft in fantasy football drafts this season. I think that these are all guys that you can pretty confidently expect to perform admirably near their ADP, potentially a little bit higher, and guys that I think are pretty much bust-proof, guys that I've been drafting a lot this offseason, and guys that I think really do give you a real opportunity to help stabilize your roster. They're going to be consistent producers throughout the course of the season and are guys that you're going to be able to just sort of set it and forget it with them every single week, not really worry about any sort of bust outside of injury. So these guys are really nice to have in drafts. Obviously, there's a time and a place for shooting for upside versus shooting for guys that are just a sure thing. And I think all of these guys are those sure things, guys that are going to be real stabilizers for your roster and guys that really aren't going to have to, you're not going to stay up at night worrying about whether or not these guys are going to bust. These are going to be really rock solid players for you this season and guys that I don't think you have to worry about too much. So yeah, I think these guys are really useful to draft, and definitely got to find a nice mix between those high upside guys and these sort of safer generic picks as well. But yeah, so with that, let's get into the first running back here. So starting us off, I'm going to start us off here with Nick Chubb. Even though he's currently being drafted in the high second round, I think he's really a safe draft pick. I think he's being drafted around his floor as the running back 5 right now. He was the running back 1 over each of the first 10 weeks last season, and he's got legitimate RB1 overall upside if he actually catches more passes this season, which I think is very likely. We're going to see him be integrated more in third downs, given that Kareem Hunt's departed from the team. They also lost Dearness Johnson, so the only real competition for touches in this offense is Jerome Ford. It should be the best offense that he's ever been a part of as well. Deshaun Watson should be much better than he was last season. Maybe he doesn't ever regain that form that he had in Houston, but I'd be shocked if he doesn't perform at least significantly better than what he did last season. So this offense is going to be much better. They're going to score a lot more points this season, and that's going to open up a lot of scoring opportunities for Nick Chubb. He should be plenty involved in the passing game as well, especially compared to previous seasons. So you're going to see Nick Chubb be a guy that's got a really safe floor. He's going to be super efficient and get a ton of volume. He's pretty much a lock, honestly, if he stays healthy, to run for over 1,500 yards this season. Double-digit touchdowns feel like a lock as well. And he's just going to be a guy that's going to be a top 5 running back. And honestly, if things break right, he could even finish as the running back 1 overall this season. Next up, another guy that I think is super safe in drafts right now is Miles Sanders, who's currently being drafted around the 5th round, being drafted as the RB19 right now. He finishes a top 12 running back last season, and actually I think I like his prospects in Carolina more than I did in Philadelphia last season. Philadelphia always liked to spread out work amongst their running backs. You saw Kenneth Gainwell get involved. Boston Scott came in near the goal line quite a bit, and obviously Jalen Hurts stole a lot of goal line work as well. So on top of that, Philadelphia really just didn't throw the ball to the running back position. Carolina is going to do that quite a bit this season. We saw them when they were recruiting Miles Sanders this season, cite that he caught 50 passes as a rookie. They really mentioned that they wanted to see him do about that again this season. And if he does that, he's going to be an absolute lock to smash his ADP. Team touchdown opportunities are certainly going to be down in Carolina. Obviously, this offense is not going to be as good as Philadelphia's was last season, but I think there's less competition for overall scoring touches on this offense than there were in Philadelphia last season. Miles Sanders should be the guy that they want to give the ball to once they get towards the end zone, and I think you could even see him score more touchdowns this season than he did last season, just because you're not going to see Jalen Hurts get pushed into the end zone like he did so many times last season. And on top of that, I actually have Miles Sanders ranked as the top 12 running back. I believe he's my running back 11 right now, and assuming he stays healthy, he's just going to be too involved, catch too many passes. I don't think there's a world where he finishes outside the top 24 at the position. And like I said, I think he's got legitimate top 10 upside as well. So super safe draft pick, and there's actually some upside built in there if he can catch a lot of passes and maybe get lucky with touchdowns this season. Another running back that I think is super safe in drafts right now is James Conner. He's currently being drafted around the 6th, 7th round in drafts right now, and he's just a really talented running back with pretty much no competition for touches in that backfield. He was the running back 6 over the latter part of the season last year, mostly without Kyler Murray as well. So I think even though this offense should be brutally bad like it was last season, James Conner is just too involved to be bad from a fantasy standpoint. He's going to catch a lot of passes. He's going to see around 20 touches a game. He could certainly get all the goal line work as well. He's currently being drafted as the RB25 right now, and that's just egregious to me. He's a good player. Obviously, it's going to be a really bad team, but getting that concentrated of a touch share in an offense is going to make you pretty much a guarantee to be a top 24 guy. I think he could even easily be a top 15 guy this season, and the only way he finishes below 25 is if he gets hurt. And on top of that, there's legitimate top 10 upside, especially if Kyler Murray comes back, makes this offense even a middle of the pack offense. This should be a team that has a better offense during the second half of the season than a lot of people are expecting, and if that's the case, James Conner could easily be the kind of league winner again like we saw last season where he finishes a top 10 guy over a good stretch. The next running back that I find to actually be a really safe pick in drafts this season is Cam Akers. I think it just feels really weird to say that he's a safe draft pick, but it seems like the touches are pretty much guaranteed for him. Again, there's no touch competition for him to be really worried about. Kyren Williams might steal some pass catching work, but nobody outside of Kyren Williams would I really expect to get any sort of meaningful work in this offense. The Rams have been very vocal about him being a focal point of the offense as well, and he's now 2 years removed from the Achilles injury that really just sort of derailed his career. We saw him be a really talented player before. He started to look really good towards the second half of last season as well, and I think he's getting back to that prime Cam Akers for him. I think he's going to be a much better player this season. The workload's going to be guaranteed for him, and I think this Rams offense could certainly be much better than we're expecting it to be. Maybe even if it's not, it was really bad during the second half of last season, and Cam Akers was still a really elite fantasy producer. He could easily be a top 20 guy this season just based off of volume alone, and he's currently being drafted as the RB23. The only way I really see him finishing below that is with injury, and I don't really want to worry about that with him. He was healthy all last season. I think he'll be good to go this season, and I think he's going to be a really rock solid pick. Really just nice RB2 to have on your roster this season. And last, but certainly not least, the running back you guys knew I couldn't keep off this list. David Montgomery, to me, is just an extremely safe pick in drafts right now. You guys know how I feel about him already. I think he's pretty much a lock to have over 1,000 total yards this season. 10 touchdowns seems all but guaranteed as well. And he's currently being drafted as the RB28, which is just ridiculously cheap for a guy who should easily finish inside the top 20. I've currently got him ranked as my RB16, just 2 spots behind Jahmyr Gibbs as the RB14 in my rankings. And I just think he's pretty much a rock-solid asset. He's going to be a guy that you can confidently play any given week. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. He'll be more involved in the passing game than Jamal Williams was last season. This is an offense that's going to run through the running backs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's just going to be too important to this offense to really be a bust. And honestly, the workload's so guaranteed for him. He's going to get that goal line work. There are going to be plenty of really spike weeks for him. And if you're playing him as your RB2 or your RB3, there's just no way he really disappoints there. I've been drafting him pretty much everywhere. And if you really want to wait on the running back position, I think you could get away with just drafting him as your RB2 and be really comfortable starting him every single week. So I love drafting David Montgomery. I hope his draft price stays around where it is because it does look like it's starting to rise a little bit. But if we can keep it right around here, I think he's going to be an absolutely rock-solid pick this season. So that'll do it for the safest running backs to draft and drafts this season video. Up next, I'll be doing an optimal draft strategy with a top 3 pick video, sort of just derailing a little bit from the safest players to pick at each position. After, I'll get right back to doing the safest wide receivers and safest tight ends. I just sort of want to mix up the content a little bit, not give you guys the same sort of video every single day. But it's really fun making these videos. It's really good to see which players that I think I'm going to be really confident in, really have a lot of trust in over the course of the season, and then understanding which guys you want to pair with that and look for some high upside, high risk players to really take your team over the top. So it'll be a lot of fun with that. Do want to get into some more draft analysis, draft strategy stuff as well. So that's what I'll be doing over the next couple of videos as well when I go over optimal draft strategies and snake drafts. I've done a lot of auction content as well if you guys want that, but feel free to ask for any other content you want to see. I'm happy to sort of oblige by what you guys are looking for as well. So really getting into the thick of it here. It's early August. We've just got a few weeks left before draft seasons are almost up, and we're about a month away from actual football actually starting. So super exciting. Going to be here all off season putting out videos every single day. If you want more content like this, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please also like the video if you made it this far, because it really helps with the YouTube algorithm, really helps me know that I'm doing a good job, and helps me know that you guys like the videos as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.